Everyone please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is a roll call, but the record shows that 4 members are present. Item 1D, approval of the agenda. Motion by Heather. Questions or discussion? Do we have a second? Second by Megan. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 2A, audience of citizens. We have none. Item 2B, principals, ECC bridge report. Everybody got a chance to review. Any questions or?
I have a couple questions.
Yep, good.
I'm going to direct it to the principals, and I don't really know if it would be Luke and Jason, or just Luke, or so you guys kind of help me out. So I'm kind of wondering, and I don't know if any other board members heard about this or heard anything, but I've gotten a couple of calls recently about the 5th grade, and they're being left out of things. And that bothers me, and when I hear it from a child and their perspective, it really bothers me. It's our fault that this is going on, that they feel like they're misplaced, right? We are the ones as the adults that have created, the school's not ready, the things are going on, whatever. That's our issues. But some of the complaints I got was that they weren't allowed to go to the back to school bash dance, which I don't understand why that is. They've gone every other year. But the part that, and they're not allowed to go to the Halloween dance as well. But the thing that really, really has me bothered is they were not included in the Friday Bearcat Day thing. They didn't get t-shirts, they didn't get to go to Kona Ice, they watched other kids play outside while they were inside. And I just feel like that's almost like every other kid in our district was celebrated that day, but the 5th graders told me they weren't. And I got this from parents, and then I had a child say to me that their classroom was on the back side and they got to watch all the other kids play in the parking lot and not get Kona Ice. That's not right. Those kids took tests, those kids did the thing. They should be able to be celebrated and get a t-shirt for Bearcat Friday and get to go outside and celebrate and have Kona Ice. So I don't know where the disconnect is or what's going on, but I've had several parent phone calls, and when kids are saying stuff, it really has bothered me. So I don't know who or where makes the decisions on this, I know we talked about, I saw on the reports, we're going to celebrate the big opening, but that's in January. What are we doing now for these kids? Because they're kind of misplaced, right? They feel misplaced. They know that they don't really have a place to belong. And I feel like as adults, that's our job to make them feel included and do a better job. And I feel like we're failing them.
Sure. I'll speak to that because it's not easy. It is a challenge to navigate having a school within a school. We have things that are kind of in the floating, like you saw in the board report. But one of the things that I don't know the right answer, we've never done this before, right? But it's trying to navigate that. Before we moved at the end of last school year, the 4th grade class, when I would spend time with them at lunch, they're like, we don't want to leave the middle school. They wanted to come to 5th grade, and they want to stay here at 5th grade. So I've been trying to find a way to keep them excited about what's coming in the new school. You're right, it's a challenge because we are out of place. I haven't been able to share dates because I just don't know things yet at this point. But we are in the planning phases right now for that back to school bash in January. That's going to be like nothing that they've ever seen before. That's going to be super exciting. Right now I'm meeting with Amber Hedges tomorrow, and what we're going to start discussing is either a late November, early December plan that is mentioned on the board report. And what we're having to discuss tomorrow is a contingency plan. Next week we have a meeting with people I'm included in it. I'm probably just kind of getting there to hear what's happening for the new building, but I'm hoping next week we'll have a better idea of what things are going to look like for us in the future. But I've had a difficult time navigating that, like just open about it. How do I not get these kids extremely disappointed that they're leaving here, if that makes sense. Because they're already telling me that in the spring.
I mean, I think it makes sense, but at the same time, I feel like they're very left out. Like, I guess my biggest question is, why did the 5th grade not get celebrated when everybody else in the district was celebrated? Why were the 5th graders not celebrated? Like, why? What is the harm in them getting a Bearcat Pride Day t-shirt? What is the harm in them getting to enjoy and the decorations and the fun times on Friday and getting a cone of ice? But they were in the classrooms.
Right. Well, I mean, the Friday before, they were at the park for a celebration. We had gone to science camp and.
Right, but that's every 5th grader. I'm just saying, like, I feel like we owe them something. I feel like we owe them as a district an apology that they were left out as adults, that this happened, and I feel like we have to celebrate them because they're already feeling, and the parents are already feeling, like, the tension and the lack of, they don't trust what's gonna happen, they don't feel like they know what's gonna happen, the kids are very, like, unknowing, unsettled about what's gonna happen, and I feel like we should be over-communicating and at the same time including them in everything. They should be getting to double dip, in my opinion. They should be getting the taste of some middle school and then getting to celebrate the brand new opening of the new school and them. So I feel like, and like I said, when I was getting these calls from a couple of parents, and I was kind of like, well, but then when I hear it from the child's point of view, it was really disheartening and really upsetting that, you know, they didn't get the t-shirts, and, you know, they want to go to the dance. They want to do these things that they've heard about their whole lives about when they get to 5th grade. And I understand that we're separating them. I get that. But while they are still here, they're hearing these things. They're seeing these things. They're coming back on Monday and everybody else is talking about it, but they don't really fit anywhere. They're just kind of here. And I feel like we're failing them, and we're not doing a good job of including them and making them feel like, I mean, I haven't heard anything about 4th grade. I can't speak to it. I haven't heard anything, but I don't feel like they feel left out or isolated from anything. I mean, I haven't heard it to know, but I just heard quite a bit from the 5th grade. And the whole Bearcat Pride Day was just really upsetting because I felt like they were the only ones, and talking to other groups, kind of getting some more information that weren't celebrated. And I just didn't understand, that's really not it's an easy fix, just include them, that's all. I just don't, so I don't know if we could do something for them, a special thing for them, but I think we we owe it to them and need to figure it out because they're just as important in the district as everyone else.
No, I don't want any student or group of students to feel like they are in any way being left out or second-class citizens in any way. And those 5th graders and the 4th graders are in a unique situation this year. Having said that, nobody wants those kids to miss out on anything. So we can absolutely make some corrections and ask the kids, what would you like to see? I mean,
and I understand it's challenging. We haven't done this before, right? Like, this is new. I mean, the last thing we did when we moved 5th grade over, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. But that wasn't a new school. That wasn't new staff, new anything. So this is uncharted territory. I just don't understand why we can't just include them in what's going on right now. And then when they separate, they'll know, and we'll celebrate the new school and all the fun things that are there. I feel like if you look at it like when you're a blended family, mom gives this group a pizza party and the stepkids are sitting there watching, you know what I mean, and not allowed to partake. And that's exactly how it sounded when that came from that child, that they were standing at the windows watching everybody else get the cone of ice and stuff, and they weren't getting any kind of reward themselves.
we can make that correction, 100%.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'm on.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Item 2C, the attendance enrollment report.
Rob was unable to be with us this morning, so I'll take care of the enrollment attendance report. Our enrollments were down a little bit from the beginning of the year, but we were still within striking distance of 1,900 students in total, including the ECC. But we are down 14 students from the beginning of the year, but that's nothing I'm concerned about. Our attendance is staying strong. At the end of month 2, we were 95.6%, which is solid. And today was a great day. We were over 97% today. But our elementary, last month's winter, did have a stomach bug circulating, so it is, the elementary slipped a little bit in their attendance, and so the intermediate school gets the trophy. So Jen, if you wouldn't mind, pass that trophy down to Luke. Our attendance remains strong. We're doing well.
Item 2D, construction report. Any questions or comments there? Hearing none, move along. Item 2E, superintendent non-work days. Did everyone have a chance to look at that? Item 2F, personnel.
I didn't have anything, do you, Val?
So there was nothing to report on personnel.
I feel like it's the first time ever.
I was like,
There's
what?
always.
I was like, I even checked it at like 4 o'clock, and I was like, nothing's still in here.
Sorry.
We've had enough.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
I'm like, I'm just gonna go with it.
The only question was, where is it? Item 2G, other.
Board members, we invited Lincoln to visit us this evening from Ross Sinclair and share some information with you about our bonding capacity. It's one of those things that we need to keep a close eye on as a district, and we very much appreciate Lincoln and his organization and their long-standing partnership with our district.
Guys, first, again, Lincoln with RSA, appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm gonna try to, at the agenda, I'm gonna try to give you the 3-minute version of my full dog and pony show, so we'll go, I could go to the very last page, that's the most important, but, looking through real quick, page 1, of course, we know is the principal and interest payments on all of your outstanding debt that's already on your books. Jump all the way to the far right-hand column, total there you'll see for the next 10, 15 years. Each fiscal year is approximately $2,700,000. Importantly for me to mention here is that part of my job is to always watch your outstanding debt for, as the market goes, if there's any opportunity for me to come back. I love sharing good news. I got good news today, but I'd love even better to come back kind of all unannounced and say, hey, the market has changed, the rates that went down, we can save you money. My message today is kind of what a difference 2 years makes. Your last bond issue shown in column J, there was some inflation costs with that project, and we ended up having to do a little more than a 20-year bond issue to squeeze out enough bonding capacity at that time to even make it work. And that, I had to stand here and say, you're quote unquote bonded out for the momentary period of time. But here we are back 2 years later. What's changed? If you turn to page 2, all these numbers kind of blur together. I think I can jump off the page. But what changed this last legislative session when the General Assembly comes and they look at how they can, columns G, H, and I, the equalization, the funding that you receive from the state to equalize each of your 3 nickels that you collect from your local taxpayers. In the General Assembly, they looked and they compared statewide property values, and the formula that funds columns G, H, and I increased by approximately $100 per student in order to keep the playing field level. I want to point out, I'll be the first one to point out when I've got a bad number. If you go across fiscal year 24, columns G, H, and I, that revenue for fiscal year 24 actually was closer to $350,000, and it jumped up in fiscal year 25 as a result of that readjustment this last session of the General Assembly. You received approximately an additional $150,000 for each of your 3 equalizations. So that extra revenue, in addition to some growth in ADA that occurred since the last bond issue, if you jump down to the very far right-hand column in, this is the revenue stream net of all of your existing debt that I've got to kind of plug in my computer and calculate your bond capacity. All of a sudden, you're here with $600,000, $700,000 of restricted building funds net of your existing payments, whereas 2 years ago that number would have been 0. So what all that means on the next page, I have thrown in for consideration later this afternoon is for a bond issue of $2 million for land. Column C shows the projected principal payments on a $2 million bond issue.
Lincoln, I'm sorry, what page are you on?
I am on page, they're not numbered, but I'm on page 3.
So is this that, unless I'm on the wrong page?
Projected 2024 bond issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Column C would be the projected principal payments. Column D, very conservatively, would be the interest rates. Column E would be the interest payments on that $2 million issue. And then if you jump to the far right-hand column L, this would be the revenues net that would still be remaining following this $2 million bond issue. All that to say, on the very last page, the summary, as you're here today, your current bonding capacity is conservatively $9,750,000. Technically, of that, $50,000 of it is from a very small offer of assistance from the School Facility Construction Commission. It can only be used on priority order 2. If you back out $2 million for consideration for the land purchase, it leaves you in a very good spot, especially considering where we came from just 2 years ago. Another $7.5 million, $7,750,000. I might squeeze out a little bit more depending on market conditions. That's where you're at. Very quick, I know if there's any questions, please reach out.
No, I was, the only comment I was going to make is, we're getting ready to gear up our facilities plan again. And at this point, we're probably about 2 years away from anything that we would have to bond again. So you never know what the future holds with as far as like what the General Assembly would do. But I think we expect growth beyond what is there, in the future, the next time we go to issue a bond. Which at current prices is a good thing, right?
Right, I'm not making any projections of what
Yeah.
future General Assemblies may do as far as increasing that equalization funding further.
The trend over time is you always have more that comes out every.
Questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything?
I don't have to.
Moving to item 3, recommended board motions. Item 3A, approval of the minutes September 26, 2024 regular meeting. We have a motion. First by Aubrey, questions or discussion? Do we have a second? Second by Heather, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3B, approval of superintendent's expense report.
I'll make it.
First by Megan, questions or discussion? Do we have a second? Second by Aubrey, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3C, approval of change order 1, Walton Borough wastewater treatment plant for intermediate school. We have a motion.
I'll make it.
First by Megan, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
Megan.
Second by Heather, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3B, approval of pay application 21 for Morel Construction, Walton Borough Intermediate School. First by Heather, questions or discussion? Do we have a second? Second by Aubrey, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3E, I'd like to table until the next meeting. And then I'll also table item 3F, which is BG1 for that item.
Do we need to?
I don't think we need to get if I table it.
Great, I send you on questions.
That's part of the reason that we wanted to table it, because I knew there would be some questions on this, and there's a few things that we want to get firmed up numbers on as well.
We're still waiting on some information back from the engineers. It just wasn't enough time to get the specifics that we wanted from them and the contractor for Tuesday afternoon. So
I was gonna say, I would be mad if we had a special meeting and talked specifically about that. Anyone else interested? Yeah, it's a very large number compared to what we were originally anticipating,
Yeah, I think
so.
we table this till the next meeting, I think we can discuss it during the next meeting unless anybody has an objection to it. As opposed to trying to put another meeting on the agenda. It's easier to get one meeting than try to find a second meeting. Is that okay with everybody? Kevin, is that okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think at that time, Jeremy and the architect, and I think our next meeting is about, is it 3 weeks from now?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
That'll be more than enough time to get back the information we were asking for, so.
Perfect. In the meantime, if anybody has questions, I assume you can just funnel those through.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep,
Absolutely.
individually. All right, thank you. Moving on to item 3G, approval of the treasurer's report.
I'll make it.
First by Heather, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Megan, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3H, approval of order of the treasurer, bills.
I'll make it.
First by Aubrey, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3I, approval of fall 2024 surplus items, bid results, and recommendations.
I'll make it.
First by Megan. Questions or discussion?
Yeah, one question.
Mhm.
So I see you at the bottom, the recommended trade-in offer, the first two lines.
Yes.
So obviously, maybe there's a mower we can buy for $3,000.
Not more.
Maybe, but I
I'll put it
doubt.
this way, our mower is worth $3,000 and we need to replace it, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then the same for a box truck. I don't think we're gonna get it for that price.
No,
So is
absolutely
this-
not. So
the
those
additional
are
money
prices that we got from the
allocated?
dealers, and typically when we have a vehicle, we try to get like a local dealer to give us a, kind of an offer, so we know what to do when, if bids come in, what to do with those.
Right,
So the, mower, after the trade-in was, don't quote me, it's between 13 and 14, I think it was about like 13,300 is what we're gonna owe on that. And the last mower we've had since, I want to say it's 2012. So hopefully, we get 10 years out of that, but especially with additional land that's going to need to be taken care of over there now with the new school. It was time. We've had a lot of maintenance issues with that. And then the box truck, we found, I think after the trade-in allowance, I want to say that one. I could go back and look it up. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. It was about 56,000. Which is within, I think, our budget for this year for a vehicle. We've had
that's my
that
question.
was 65,000.
Okay,
And I believe that at the athletic complex, it has its own budget for like maintenance equipment, and the budget there, I believe, is 25,000. But they were both under what we had budgeted, so it's not like in addition to
okay.
a budget.
And that's where the mower money will come.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Because it's used just over there.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it could be used somewhere else, but, it's kind of a pain to transport it back and forth, but we need it there for baseball and softball.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Do we have a second?
Me? first.
Megan.
Okay, I didn't write it down, so I'll make it.
I thought you were asking my permission. Absolutely, you can.
I couldn't not write it when I didn't.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3J, approval of BG1 for property acquisition, property A.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Megan. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3K, approval of BG1 for property acquisition, property B.
I'll make it.
First by Megan. Questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Aubrey. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3L, approval of BG1 for property acquisition, property C.
I'll make it.
First by Megan. Questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Excuse me. Item 3M, approval of BG1 for property acquisition, property D.
I'll make it.
First by Megan. Questions or discussion? Do we have a second? Second by Aubrey. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3N, approval to authorize the Walton Vernon Independent School District Board Treasurer to execute any and all documents necessary to transfer possession and title of 4 properties being acquired adjacent to Walton Vernon Athletic Complex / Intermediate School site, including amendments to purchase contracts to adjust post-closing occupancy.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Questions or discussion? Nice way to reread it.
It turns me off all that stuff. That again is so that you don't have to go to closing. The clause about post-closing occupancy. Now that we've got these approved, we need to contact the people and like get a realistic time frame for when they can be out of the property. So the window they said kind of customary be up to 90 days. But we'll work those out with the individual property owners as we go.
Any questions or discussion? Do we have a second? Second by Aubrey. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3O, approval of fiscal year 25 KETS offer of assistance.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Any questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Megan. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3P, approval of field trips.
I'll make it.
First by Aubrey. Questions or discussion? Do you have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 3Q, approval to adopt a resolution authorizing Walton Vernon Independent District Finance Corporation to issue revenue bonds.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Megan. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Yeah, we got the adjournment today.
Okay, we do it. That's one. Item 3R, adjournment.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Do we have a second?